imposed by King Indra for 7 days. 9 days of the waxing moon have passed. On the 10th day, King Indra worshipped Lord Krishna, and thus the matter was satisfactorily settled. After this, on the 11th day of the full moon, Ekadasi, Maharaj Nanda observed fasting for the whole day. And early in the morning of the next day, Dvadasi, he went to take bath in the river Yamuna. He entered deep into the water of the river, but he was arrested immediately by one of the servants of Varunadev. This servant brought Nanda Maharaj before the demigod Varuna and accused him of taking a bath in the river at the wrong time. According to astronomical calculations, the time in which he took a bath was considered demoniac. The fact was that Nanda Maharaj wanted to take a bath in the river Yamuna early in the morning before the sunrise, but somehow or another he was a little too early, and he bathed at an inauspicious time. He was arrested. When Nanda Maharaj was taken away by one of Varuna's servants, Nanda's companions began to call loudly for Krishna and Balaram. Immediately, Krishna and Balaram could understand that Nanda Maharaj had been taken by a servant of Varuna. Thus they went to the abode of Varuna, for they were pledged to give protection to the inhabitants of Vrindavan, who were all unalloyed devotees of the Lord. Devotees, having no shelter other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, naturally cry to him for help, exactly like children who do not know anything but the protection of their parents. The demigod Varuna received Lord Krishna and Balaram with great respect and said, "My dear Lord, actually, at this very moment, because of your presence, my life as the demigod Varuna has become successful. Although I am the proprietor of all the treasures in the water, I know that such possessions do not make for a successful life. But at this moment, as I look at you, my life is made completely successful, because by seeing you, I no longer have to accept a material body. Therefore, O Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Supreme Brahman and Supersoul of everything, let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You are the Supreme Transcendental Personality. There is no possibility of imposing the influence of material nature upon you. I am very sorry that my foolish man, by not knowing what to do or what not to do, has mistakenly arrested your father Nanda Maharaj. So I beg your pardon for the offense of my servant. I think that it was your plan to show me your mercy by your personal presence here. My dear Lord Krishna, Govinda, be merciful upon me. Here is your father. You can take him back immediately." In this way, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, rescued his father and presented him before his friends, bringing them great jubilation. Nanda Maharaj was surprised that although the demigod was so opulent, he had offered such respect to Krishna. That was very astonishing to Nanda, and he began to describe the incident to his friends and relatives with great wonder. Actually, although Krishna was acting so wonderfully, Maharaj Nanda and Mother Yashoda could not think of him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Instead, they always accepted him as their beloved child. Thus Nanda Maharaj did not accept the fact that Varuna had worshipped Krishna because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Rather, he took it that because Krishna was such a wonderful child, he had been respected even by Varuna. The friends of Nanda Maharaj, all the cowherd men, became eager to know if Krishna was actually the Supreme Personality and if he was going to give them all salvation. When they were all thus consulting among themselves, Krishna understood their minds, and in order to assure them of their destiny in the spiritual kingdom, he showed them the spiritual sky. Generally, ordinary persons are engaged simply in working hard in the material world, and they have no information that there is another kingdom or another sky, which is known as the spiritual sky. where life is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge. As it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, a person returning to that spiritual sky never returns to this material world of death and suffering. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always eager to give information to the conditioned soul that there is a spiritual sky far, far beyond this material sky, transcendental to the innumerable universes created within the total marginal energy. Radha Gokulananda ki, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Gauranitai ki. Krishna is, of course, always very kind to every conditioned soul, but as stated in the Bhagavad Gita, he is especially inclined to the pure devotees. Hearing their inquiries, Krishna immediately thought that his devotees in Vrindavan should be informed of the spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha planets therein. Within the material world, every conditioned soul is in the darkness of ignorance. This means that all conditioned souls are under the concept of bodily existence. Everyone is under the impression that he is of this material world, and with this concept of life, everyone is working in ignorance in different forms of life. The activities of the particular type of body are called karma, or fruit of action. All conditioned souls, being under the impression of the bodily concept, are working according to their particular type of body. These activities are creating their future conditioned life. Because they have very little information of the spiritual world, they do not generally take spiritual activities, which are called bhakti yoga. Those who successfully practice bhakti yoga go directly to the spiritual world after giving up this present body. And there they become situated in one of the Vaikuntha planets. The inhabitants of Vrindavan are all pure devotees. Their destination after quitting the body is Krishna Loka. They even surpass the Vaikuntha Lokas. The fact is that those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness and mature pure devotional service are given the chance, after death, to gain Krishna's association in one of the universes within the material world. Krishna's pastimes are continuously going on, either in this universe or in another universe. Just as the sun globe is passing over many places across this earthly planet, so Krishna Lila, or the transcendental advent of and pastimes of Krishna, are also going on continuously, either in this or another universe. The mature devotees, who have completely executed Krishna consciousness, are immediately transferred to the universe where Krishna is appearing. In that universe, the devotees get their first opportunity to associate with Krishna personally and directly. The training goes on, as we see in the Vrindavan Leela of Krishna within this planet. Krishna therefore revealed the actual features of the Vaikuntha planets, so that the inhabitants of Vrindavan could know their destination. Thus, Krishna showed them the eternal, ever-existing spiritual sky, which is unlimited and full of knowledge. Within this material world, there are different grades of forms, and according to the grade, knowledge is proportionately manifested. For example, the knowledge in the body of a child is not as perfect as the knowledge in the body of an adult man. Everywhere there are different grades of living entities, in aquatic animals, in the plants and trees, in the reptiles and insects, in birds and beasts, and in the civilized and uncivilized human forms of life. Above the human form of life there are demigods, charanas and siddhas, on up to Brahmaloka, where Lord Brahma lives. And among these demigods there are always different grades of knowledge. But beyond this material world, in the spiritual sky, everyone is in full knowledge, and therefore all the living entities there are engaged in devotional service to the Lord, either in the Vaikuntha planets or in Krishnaloka. As it is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Full knowledge means knowing Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Vedas and in the Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that in the Brahmajyoti, or spiritual sky, there is no need of sunlight, moonlight, or electricity. All the planets there are self-illuminating, and all of them are eternally situated. There is no question of creation and annihilation in the Brahmajyoti, or spiritual sky. The Bhagavad Gita also confirms that beyond the material sky, there is another eternal spiritual sky, where everything is eternally existing. Direct knowledge of the spiritual sky can be had only by great sages and saintly persons who have already surpassed the influence of the three material modes of nature by engaging in devotional service, or Krishna consciousness. Unless one is constantly situated on that transcendental platform, it is not possible to understand the spiritual nature. Therefore, it is recommended that one should take to bhakti yoga and keep himself engaged 24 hours a day in Krishna consciousness, which places one beyond the reach of the modes of material nature. One in Krishna consciousness can easily understand the nature of the spiritual sky and Vaikuntha Loka. The inhabitants of Vrindavan, being always engaged in Krishna consciousness, could therefore very easily understand the transcendental nature of the Vaikuntha Lokas. Thus, Krishna led all the cowherd men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, to the lake where Akrura would later be shown the Vaikuntha planetary system. They took their bath immediately and saw the real nature of the Vaikuntha Lokas. After seeing the spiritual sky and the Vaikuntha Lokas, all the men, headed by Nanda Maharaj, felt wonderfully blissful, and upon coming out of the lake they saw Krishna, who was being worshipped with excellent praise. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 28th chapter of Krishna, releasing Nanda Maharaj from the clutches of Varuna. Are we allowed to? Are we? Maybe do one like we've done before. Or just like randomly. We might read a little bit more. Yeah. Wonderful Krishna. Yeah.
That's really short. Okay. We'll read one more chapter here. It's a short chapter. How many of you know the book Srimad Bhagavatam? Yeah? So basically this book here, it's called Krishna Book. Srila Prabhupada, he wrote this book. And it's like a summary study of the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Bhagavatam has many different cantos. It has 12 cantos. And each one describes different things. So some will be describing like the universal structure. There's so many different stories about the universe, creation, and just everything. But the 10th canto is the special canto because it talks all about the pastimes of Krishna. It begins with how Krishna was born, then how he grew up, he went to Vrindavan, and all his pastimes. So Prabhupada, he wrote the 10th canto, like a summary study of the 10th canto, in this one book called the Krishna Book. And it's Krishna Book because it's all about Krishna's stories. So yeah, every evening in this month of Kartik, we're reading from Krishna Book. So I'll read one more chapter here. It's called Wonderful Krishna. Without understanding the intricacies of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and without knowing his uncommon spiritual opulences, the innocent cowherd boys and men of Vrindavan began to discuss his wonderful activities, which surpass the activities of all men. Yeah, so we all know that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's actually God himself. And Krishna performs so many wonderful activities. But the wonderful thing about the inhabitants of Vrindavan is that they never saw Krishna as God. They just loved Krishna so much, like his parents loved him, that this is my child. They didn't think that this is like God himself. They were just thinking, this is like my most beloved child. And his friends were just thinking, this is my friend. But they had, it says actually the love of the inhabitants of Vrindavan is the highest love of God, because it's so intimate, so personal. So here they're discussing together the wonderful qualities of Krishna. One of them said, "My dear friends, considering his wonderful activities, how is it possible that such an uncommon boy would come and live with us in Vrindavan? It is really not possible. Just imagine, he is now only 7 years old. How is it possible for him to lift Govardhan Hill in one hand and hold it up just as the king of elephants holds a lotus flower?" So you all know this pastime, yeah? When Krishna, he lifts Govardhan Hill. So imagine a 7-year-old child, and they're lifting this huge mountain on like one finger. It's like amazing. So all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they're talking like, how is this possible? This small child, he picked up a mountain. To lift a lotus flower is a most insignificant thing for an elephant. And similarly, Krishna lifted Govardhan Hill without exertion. When he was simply a small baby and could not even see properly, he killed a great demon, Putana. While sucking her breast, he also sucked out her life air. Krishna killed the Putana demon exactly as eternal time kills a living creature in due course. When he was only 3 months old, he was sleeping underneath a hand-driven cart. Being hungry for his mother's breast, he began to cry and throw his legs upwards. And from the kicking of his small feet, the cart immediately broke apart and fell to pieces. When he was only 1 year old, he was carried away by the Trinavarta demon, disguised as a... Trinavarta is who? What does he look like? Don't look at the screen. Okay, someone say, even if you looked at the screen, it's okay. What was the form of Trinavarta? Whirlwind, yeah, it's like a tornado. It was like a wind, and he like carried baby Krishna up and took him up high in the sky. Yeah. Trinavarta demon disguised as a whirlwind, and although he was taken very high in the sky, he simply hung on the neck of the demon and forced him to fall from the sky and immediately die. Once his mother, being disturbed by his stealing butter, tied him to a wooden mortar, and the child pulled it toward a pair of trees known as Yamala Arjun and caused them to fall. So this is the Damodar Leela. On the altar you'll see there's Yashoda and Damodar. She's tying him to the mortar. Once, when he was engaged in tending the calves in the forest along with his elder brother, who's Krishna's elder brother? Balaram. A demon, Bakasura, appeared. Bakasura is what form? What kind of form is Bakasura? Anyone knows? Bakasura is a bird. He's a big bird. Yeah, big bird. And Krishna at once bifurcated the demon's beak. So he had a big beak, and he was trying to kill Krishna with his beak. Krishna split his beak in two. When the demon known as Vatsasura entered among the calves tended by Krishna with a desire to kill him, he immediately detected the demon, killed him, and threw him into a tree. When Krishna, along with his brother Balaram, entered the Talavan forest, the demon known as Denakusura, in the shape of an ass, attacked them and was immediately killed by Balaram, who caught his hind legs and threw him into a palm tree. So they're just talking about all the amazing things that Krishna did. He killed so many of these demons who are so powerful, so scary, so ferocious. Although the Denakusura demon was assisted by his cohorts, also in the shape of asses, all were killed, and the Talavan forest was then open for the use of the animals and inhabitants of Vrindavan. When Pralambasura entered among Krishna's cowherd boyfriends, Krishna caused him to be killed by Balaram. Thereafter, Krishna saved his friends and cows from a severe forest fire, and he chastised the Kaliya serpent in the lake of the Yamuna river, and forced him to leave the vicinity of the Yamuna. He thereby made the water of the Yamuna poisonless. Another one of the friends of Nanda Maharaj said, "My dear Nanda," who is Nanda? Krishna's father, Krishna's dad. "My dear Nanda, we do not know why we are so attracted by your son Krishna. We want to forget him, but this is impossible. Why are we so naturally affectionate toward him? Just imagine how wonderful it is. On one hand, he is only a boy of 7 years, and on the other hand, there is a huge hill like Govardhan Hill, and he lifted it so easily. O Nanda Maharaj, we are now in great doubt. Your son Krishna must be one of the demigods. He is not at all an ordinary boy. Maybe he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead." On hearing the praises of the cowherd men in Vrindavan, King Nanda said, "My dear friends, in reply to you I can simply present the statement of Garga Muni so that your doubts may be cleared. When he came to perform the name-giving ceremony, he said that this boy descends in different periods of time in different colors, and that this time he has appeared in Vrindavan in a blackish color known as Krishna. Previously he had a white color, then a red color, then a yellow color. He also said that this boy was once the son of Vasudev, and everyone who knows of his previous birth calls him Vasudev. Actually, he said that my son has many varieties of names according to his different qualities and activities. Gargacharya assured me that this boy would be all auspicious for my family, and that he would be able to give transcendental, blissful pleasure to all the cowherd men and cows in Vrindavan. Even though he would be put into various kinds of difficulties, by the grace of this boy we would be very easily free from them. He also said that formerly this boy saved the world from an unregulated condition, and he saved all honest men from the hands of the dishonest thieves. He also said that any fortunate man who becomes attached to this boy, Krishna, is never vanquished or defeated by his enemy. On the whole, he is exactly like Lord Vishnu, who always takes the sides of the demigods, who are constantly never defeated by the demons. Gargacharya thus concluded that my child would grow to be exactly like Vishnu in transcendental beauty, qualification, activities, influence, and opulence, and so we should not be very astonished by his wonderful activities. After telling me this, Gargacharya returned home, and since then we have been continuously seeing the wonderful activities of this child. According to the version of Gargacharya, I consider that he must be Narayana himself, or maybe a plenary portion of Narayan. When all the cowherd men had very attentively heard the statements of Gargacharya through Nanda Maharaj, they better appreciated the wonderful activities of Krishna, and became very jubilant and satisfied. They began to praise Nanda Maharaj, because by consulting him, their doubts about Krishna were cleared. They said, "Let Krishna, who is so kind, beautiful, and merciful, protect us." When angry Indra sent torrents of rain, accompanied by showers of ice blocks and high wind, Krishna immediately took compassion upon us and saved us and our families, cows, and valuable possessions by picking up Govardhan Hill, just as a child picks up a mushroom. He saved us so wonderfully. May he continue to glance mercifully over us and our cows. May we live peacefully under the protection of wonderful Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of the 26th chapter of Krishna, Wonderful Krishna. Okay, so it's almost time for Arti. At 7 o'clock we'll have Arti. You want to take care of that? Yeah. Okay, we'll sing a little bit. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Everyone please sing. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna,